Galbraith Jr. I graduated in 1985, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. My two majors were the National Administration of Law. My second major was the Personnel, Industries, Organizations, Administration, Personnel, Recruiter, Commissioner, Union, and mental and physical health investigator of all of our nation's law enforcement files and chain of command. And under the FBI recruiting program on the internet for diversity, I investigate our country's chain of command of law enforcement recruiting crimes of the police as internal affairs. I went to school in 1990 to learn how to build our nation's industrial civil defense program. This includes, but not limited to, scientific mechanical immunization technology of the lungs under the American Disabilities Act called reasonable building modifications. If you look at my first video, you'll see me outlining the diagram and schematics of this nuclear, biological, and chemical catchment containment system. I was a Marine Corps recruiter before I started college. The Marine Corps at Quantico teaches the FBI these programs. These programs go hand in hand with 1991 Pleasantville, California bomb shelter real estate codes of America. That was in 91. In 93, on 5/5/93, we built the act called the Freon Act. The Freon is what is our world's ozone layer. It is with a churning of oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus into nutrients that our world's earth and human and life forms need. And without it, our rocks deteriorate and our coral turns white, like happening now. In 1993 also was Senate Bill 5/5/93 by Senator Astronaut John Glenn. 171 bill. The 171 is the number of the government level personnel that hires every person in the federal government to be the model of the chain of command of our nation at the state, county, and city level. Therefore, we all perform the same. So our records in America will be consistent for identification. In 1994, I went to school at American Environmental Training Institute at a school owned by people in Illinois, issuing Illinois public health, EPA, and OSHA licenses for personal protection equipment to teach our agents to stay alive under nuclear, biological, and chemical total suspended particulate matter in the air. When OSHA goes into a building, the material safety data sheets are supposed to instruct them in the poisons. I got a hold of Fairview Heights, Illinois, head of OSHA, and educated him on floating of asbestos fibers in the air from 6 to 9 months. The human lung breathes 20,000 breaths for 24 hours. Our human lungs can only clean 2%. Therefore, due to the ozone depletion by 400%, 15 years ago, the Secret Service investigated me, wanting a job at Sears in their warranty division. I got into an argument with the head of Sears Warranty and asked them, there's 37 million electronic air cleaners in America. How come you don't feel it's patriotic to aid the sick and disabled and to replenish the ozone inside the buildings under the Reasonable Building Modifications Clean Air Act, which is the same thing that our nation's water supplies don't do either, under the multiple filters. And that charcoal is used by all of our military in survival situations and is in every water filtration device in the world. It is what animals eat is charcoal firewood after any fire to destroy the parasites in their bodies. Then in 1994, that same class located in St. Louis, Missouri, an Illinois licensing program, made me teach class of aliens who could not speak or read English. They are located all throughout America. I have found out these are alien Underground Railroad identification programs to infiltrate our nation's job program and enter into all of our super funds for cleanup, making over $50 an hour. If you take my advice and you go to school for 2 weeks, Monday through Saturday, you will get the supervisor's license and asbestos. Another 6 days, you'll get a supervisor's license and asbestos. And lead, pardon me. You can do these jobs in your own home, from the top of your chimney of your home to the bottom of the basement. You can take anything apart. I show you how to financially do this while at the same time, under barriers technology, you can learn the sandwiching of 1/16 thick sheets of lead sandwiched between 2 gypsum drywalls, and I would suggest 1/16 of steel. Now you sandwich those together, and since then, in the last few months, the world has invented a liquid you can paint drywall to make it bulletproof. Then comes the alpha and beta resistant walls, and you can buy alpha and beta shatter resistant windows, as well as iron shutters for your home. I highly suggest people in America get their own water pump and create their own water system, because it's financially possible, since my sewer bill has went up almost 1,000% in 30 days. American Water Company expert I spoke with said they were a biologist, but yet could not inform me in any way of the water filtration systems that she represented nationwide under any nuclear, biological, or chemical separation of filtration devices. I have these degrees to do the industrial hygiene freon reclaim. There's over 12 to 25 million cars per year and buildings in America, which are 85% discharging this freon as we speak. Our world is catapulting into dismal extinction. These are extinction level events. And when I explained this to the government, they made me an extinction level event. As I said, nobody's ever replaced the law enforcement recruiting at any level. But the state police and FBI, to my knowledge, in the local papers, do the union investigations, but apparently not the illegal investigation of not recruiting 4-year degrees of not recruiting the 6-year degree or the 8-year degree. Now, these are felony recruiting programs under the Marine Corps, which instructs the FBI. Now comes the fact that we're at a state of war and that this is measurable by the inducement of China becoming equivalent to our power within 5 years, absolutely, if not sooner. I can't account for these things, but I know these were tax deductions for everything you can visibly look at on your property on 78 buildings and down, and that all 1978 deeded buildings and down are under the authority of the EPA and our nation's public health, of the inspectors. These people have subverted these trainings. It took me 500 hours to get my 10 licenses in the chain of command and chain of custody of investigation of real estate appraisal fraud, of real estate appraisal inspection fraud. And I have degreed in child endangerment and was a 1983 Department of Corrections Juvenile Program Director, Madison County, Illinois, and complained of the crime against children endangerment by the county digging sewer out in their underwear in the visiting room as you entered the building in front of multiple other agents that worked there. Nobody would back me up. I have been censored since 1983. I have 4 degrees to back all of this up. I have a U.S. government competent man license, and the fines and penalties for this under our government application, which says 7 to 9 years in prison for falsifying information, and under these license of the EPA and the public health and the state of Illinois project manager license, these penalties have doubled to 14 to 18 years with $100,000 fines apiece to be assessed. I have been put in the nut house twice. Under Department of Corrections, Alton Mental Health, I've been labeled a cocaine addict. When I got out of jail, I went directly to a pain doctor knowing they would give me a drug test. And I smoked pot before I did it, so I would find out if they would take a coke test. I have much more to add. As the National Security Administration, House of Congress, investigative psychologist, scientist of America, I have been beaten out of millions of dollars of property and property management because they will not file these results and have given me the runaround and have stalled me. I just went to jail within the last 5 years for exercising my 2010 Homeland Security right at First Amendment auditing while I'm trained and double licensed to audit government public buildings. Everybody in America is in contempt of the House of Congress. No one will aid me. They say it's politics. This is overthrowing our nation's union labor. 100% union busting. And I see all of these illegal aliens as a major threat to take over our nation's way of life under union and our rights to assemble and free speech and make a prevailing wage. That these aliens who do not live here and cannot speak or read English and are committing again to joining an alien underground identification program illegally to subvert tax records of America. Thank you for your time. This is my patriotic duty, my degrees, and I have never got to practice my federal, state, county, or city law enforcement. And in 1985, at SIU Edwardsville, the sheriff broke the House of Congress rules and was hiring high school degreed people that I put in the Marine Corps illegal to hire. And I had half my wages paid for under Trade Rehabilitation Act to get me to duty. And to this day, the Internal Affairs has never been replaced and is operating as a secret organization. I'm not allowed to make any complaints. I've got letters from multiple different law enforcement saying they will not investigate themselves. I don't know what happened to the Illinois State Police Internal Affairs. I've also written the fact that I wrote to Illinois and Missouri Medical Board and the Attorney Registration Disciplinary Committee before the home invasion at my house, in which my arm muscles were severed. I was put in a head-on car wreck because they covered up my 1994 Weldon Springs accident, where I was the OSHA safety officer that wrote the accident reports. And I just received the Jefferson City, Missouri workman's comp from 2000. And all the records were missing, and people forged my signature. That's what I understand. Hidden figures. Me and my family have suffered greatly. Even under when they did give me disability in 2000, that was 13 years he took from me for a family of 5 in America, and we would have received probably 50 grand a year in benefits. But knowing if I'd have bought these 5 houses, that would have brought in $3,500 a month clear income. Thank you for your time and patriotism. Remember, the climate is not going to change for anybody, and Mother Nature is getting ready to introduce us to climate that is unscientifically predictable. For example, last year we got 2 inches of rain this month in April. This year we got 8 inches. Be prepared. Remember, the rule of 3. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 30 days without food. And that will be the end. Prepare yourself, just like insurance. Protect your family. Think out. Think things through. Try to stay safe and survive it. Remember, I'm trained past FEMA, and I understand many emergency management acts through my Army training, my Marine Corps training, and of course, my 11 years of education that I'm degreed in to investigate Freon crimes, a 230-pound machine available for purchase that has to reclaim the Freon on top of buildings that nobody on earth is doing. These were law enforcement, and they're letting everybody skirt the law and poison us and continue to kill us, like Granite City Steel. You're only allowed to eat 1 fish per week. Could you survive on that mercury poisoning? If the fish are doing it, so is the wildlife, and the water's contaminated. Have a blessed day.